Coming up on Nuestra Voz today, saving a school where children were once paddled for speaking Spanish.
One of the students said, this is not going to stop me from speaking Spanish. She was overheard by a teacher. She was marched into the office, and they used what they call the paddle on her. Whipped her 3 times.
A former student from a once segregated Mexican-American school recalls how school officials tried to silence her and her classmates. Why there's now an effort to preserve the school for future generations.
Plus, lowrider cruising returns to a city in San Diego County as a 30-year ban is temporarily lifted.
But it's a beautiful thing that this is back. I'm happy for the people that got this going again.
But the celebrations are short-lived. Why organizers are slamming the brakes on future cruises.
Also, she's on top of her game. How a gifted player who dreams of going pro is making great strides in the competitive world of girls soccer.
And a sold-out crowd gives Ricardo Arjona a big LA welcome. The Grammy-winning and multi-Grammy nominated singer from Guatemala gives fans a show they'll never forget. Hi everyone, hola. I'm Paola Hernandez-Jayo.
And I'm Luis Cruz. Thank you for joining us for Nuestra Voz today, presented by the San Diego Union-Tribune and the Los Angeles Times.
We begin with a look back at historic injustices against Latino school children and how they're serving as lessons for future generations.
Last March was the 91st anniversary of the first successful desegregation case in U.S. history. It happened in San Diego County. In January 1931, the principal of Lemon Grove's grammar school barred 75 Mexican-American children from entering the school and ordered them instead to attend class in a separate nearby building. It was an order by Lemon Grove's all-white school board. The Latino students went on strike, and their parents petitioned the courts to prevent the segregation. In March 1931, a San Diego judge ruled the Mexican-American students must be admitted to regular classes equally with all other children.
You can read more about the Lemon Grove case and other stories about San Diego's rich Latino history in the multimedia online book San Diego Latino Legacy by the Latino Legacy Foundation, presented by the San Diego Union-Tribune. To access the online book for free, go to latinolegacyfoundation.org.
In Marfa, Texas, a once segregated Mexican-American school may become a National Historic Site. It would be a first of its kind.
Recently, the U.S. Senate unanimously passed the Blackwell School National Historic Act. The bill is co-sponsored by California Senator Alex Padilla. Our colleagues at the LA Times have more on the effort to preserve this school.
Hiding in plain sight on a dusty corner of this remote West Texas town, the Blackwell School stands as a lasting reminder of what Mexican-American students endured during decades of segregation.
This is a school that was where Hispanics attended. We were segregated, Anglos in one side of town and the Hispanics in the other.
Opened in 1909 as a 3-room Mexican school, Blackwell expanded to a half-dozen buildings, educating over 4,000 before it closed in 1965. Silva's favorite English teacher, Mrs. Evelyn Davis, organized the mock funeral for Mr. Spanish.
I began the first grade. Must have been the first or second day of school. A teacher from another classroom went into my classroom, wrote the word Spanish on the blackboard, passed out a piece of paper to each student, and asked us to copy the letters on the blackboard. We each did what she asked. They were collected and put into this box. They marched us out to the flagpole area where they had already dug a hole, and when all the classes were assembled outside, they buried that box. And because everyone had wrote the word Spanish in their own piece of paper, they buried Mr. Spanish and told us from that day on we were not allowed to speak Spanish in school.
Later that day, one of Silva's older classmates vowed, "Nadie me va a quitar que hable el español. No one will take my Spanish away."
She was overheard by a teacher. She was marched into the office, to the principal's office, and they used what they call the paddle on her. Whipped her 3 times, and that was a form of discipline. You will not speak Spanish in school, otherwise this is what's going to happen to you. Intimidation. That way, we learned from that day on we were not to speak Spanish in school.
Across the Southwest, former segregated schools for Mexican Americans have been converted into office buildings and community centers, or abandoned.
This was the segregated school for Mexican American children here all the way up until 1965 when Marfa schools were integrated. And today we're preserving this 1909 schoolhouse as a museum with the hopes that we can make it a National Historic Site. Schools like the Blackwell School, schools for Mexican children in Texas were ubiquitous. So many communities had these schools. But today, we're the only ones with the original building in good condition and an organization working to preserve it as a museum. Some of these schools have been repurposed into office buildings and things like that, but we have a real opportunity here to not only tell the stories that are personal and local to Marfa, but really expand how we're telling these stories, because it's an experience that happened all over the borderlands that people really need to know about.
In December, when the House passed the bill, Democratic Representative Teresa Ledger Fernandez from New Mexico spoke about attending a similar segregated school.
Madam Speaker, I attended a school that was likewise in its history segregated, where Hispanos attended school on one side of the town and all others on the other side.
Silva became a medical assistant, settled in Stockton, and worked at a Kaiser Permanente for 45 years before retiring to Marfa.
Well, several years ago, one of the boys that attended school here in Marfa, graduated from Blackwell in 1960, decided to have a class reunion. When people of Marfa learn about this, the former students of Blackwell says, hey, I want to attend this class reunion. During that time, during that event, we had already decided that Mr. Spanish was going to be unearthed, therefore giving us the Spanish language back into our everyday lives. What was taken from us is now being given back. We are now taken back. And the day of the event of the reunion, the girl that had been disciplined went up, and she was the one to unearth this Mr. Spanish. It was a symbol of, I guess, liberty, of freedom to speak our own language that we were brought up at home. This was our language, and we have been deprived of it through what the teachers and the principals had decided to do. And that's what was happening by us unearthing Mr. Spanish.
The bill has already passed the House, but the Senate made minor changes. It will now go back to the House for a final vote before being sent to President Biden.
Coming up, lowrider cruising returns to one city as part of a pilot program, but then it hits a bump in the road. What's next for cruising on Highland when Nuestra Voz Today returns? Welcome back to Nuestra Voz Today. In San Diego County, a city temporarily lifted its ban on lowrider cruising for the first time in 30 years.
In May, a group lobbying National City to repeal the law held its first cruise in a city-sanctioned 6-month pilot program. But then, the group abandoned the project, saying it could not afford hefty city fees for the remaining 5 cruises. The San Diego Union-Tribune captured day one of Cruisin on Highland.
We are suspending the no cruising ordinance and bringing the lowriders to Highland Avenue and really sharing with the National City community. Some for their whole lives, they've never seen something at this scale. The cruising back on one of our main arteries in National City, Highland Avenue. And what did that look like? An event where we could have community come out, celebrate the car club culture, as well as being here at our only high school in National City, celebrating over 100 years with the students in partnership with our small business community and public safety. And so today we celebrate revisiting history.
Our cars is our pride, it's our culture, it's us, you know, and it's a thing that we have a pride for, you know. So we come out, we show our pride, our hard working, earning money, and building our cars. And that's what it's about, you know. It's about family, community. I live in Whittier right now, and we came down here to support. I own a 51 Chevy, and we're here to support and show love. And yeah, man, I'm excited, man. It just brings me back since when I was a kid. So I feel like a little kid again, just coming back onto the streets where I used to cruise and you know, be a part of.
It took a year and a half of strategic planning, meeting with council members, law enforcement, business owners, doing surveys on Highland Avenue, having petitions signed, going out there and talking to others, and getting the support of all the other car clubs, meeting with the presidents and meeting with the coalition, and just forming our strategy as how are we going to accomplish this. I want the repeal of the no cruising ordinance to come out of this event, and it'll take a little bit of time, but I want to be able to get through these cruises, have successful events, then we can go back to City Council and say, we want our no ordinance, that ordinance repealed.
But it's a beautiful thing that this is back. I'm happy for the people that got this going again. Very thankful.
As a third generation National City resident, as a Chicana, having roots in Mexico, being able to say this is a reflection of who I am, and as the first Latina mayor, to bring this back means a lot. Means a lot.
Organizers of the Lowrider Cruise say they'll continue efforts to get the law repealed despite opting out of hosting additional test cruises. To read more on this story, log on to SanDiegoUnionTribune.com.
Coming up, Chicharito, who? We go inside the world of competitive girls soccer to meet a rising star when Nuestra Voz Today returns.
The San Diego Union-Tribune is San Diego's largest and most experienced news organization, winner of 4 Pulitzer Prizes and 33 regional Emmys. We deliver the news with depth, authority, and over 150 years of local knowledge. Our journalists speak truth to power. The Union-Tribune serves everyone who cares about our community. Support our work. Subscribe today on our website, SanDiegoUnionTribune.com.
Welcome back to Nuestra Voz Today. A young rising star on the soccer field is trying to make her dream of going pro a reality.
Nayeli Barahona plays for the downtown Los Angeles Soccer Club on a scholarship. The LA Times introduces us to this very gifted player.
Hi, Coach Paul. My name is Nayeli Barahona, and I am a 2022 graduate of USC Harvard High College Prep. I will be attending the college soccer academy camp on February 5th. I'm very interested in attending Stanford University and playing for the women's soccer team. I currently play for the Downtown LA Soccer Club, where I am a starting forward. I think I'd be a player you'd be interested in because of the characteristics I bring onto the pitch. So I've attached my highlight reel at the bottom of this email. I hope you get a chance to see me play at the ID camp this Saturday. Sincerely, Ricardo Arjona.
1, 2, 3, downtown! Hey!
I love soccer, I love being in school, I like hanging out with friends, and I go to USC Harbor High College Prep. I am currently a senior. My soccer goals are to become a professional soccer player. It's very nerve-wracking just waiting for acceptances or rejections and having conversations with like your parents on like if I'm going to be able to afford college, what colleges can I afford.
You know, Natalie will talk about she learned to play soccer by watching YouTube videos. She's just probably, of all the boys and girls I've ever watched, the most gifted athlete I've ever seen.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
I'm good. Oh, well, their acceptances are coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not yet?
Yeah, I haven't heard from any yet.
The only person I know that's heard anything is Tirsa said she got accepted at Cal State LA.
Mick is a great coach. He's been a big part of my life. Well, he's always wanted to make sure everyone's able to play soccer, and he understands that not a lot of parents are able to like take us to practice, take us to games. So he'll offer his car, his ride to anywhere you need. Yeah.
I fell in love with their passion for the game, their skill, you know, their commitment. This was their life. My function is basically to convince a family or a parent that the best player in their family might not be one of their sons. It sort of empowers them with, we're giving these girls a space to excel in something that, you know, not only that they love doing, that they enjoy doing, but that also gives them a position in their family. To have a daughter that can play at the level that some of these girls play, to them is a real status thing and something they're really proud of.
You never know what's going to happen on the field. The soccer is very physical. You guys all have the same goal.
The professional soccer clubs that we have for men, they run their own youth programs. So the MLS clubs are free. If you're really good, you get into the program. For the girls, if you want to play in a girls' academy, you need to pay the club fees to get into those programs. And it's not cheap.
For boys, I think it's a lot less complicated. A lot of coaches go out to them, talk to them, and they have a lot more opportunities. They have other ways to make it pro. Well, girls, it's like girls soccer is not really like looked at, and like that just means like less opportunities. We come from like a very like low-income community. Nick has us all like on scholarships, so the fact that he gives us all the opportunities, the same opportunities, is really amazing of him.
We have funding sources that probably no other team in the country has with the demographic of players that we have. So we get to do that, but you know, very few other kids in that same socioeconomic group could do the same thing. And so they don't get seen by coaches, which is why, you know, one of the big reasons only 7% of players and NCAA women players are Latina. They just don't get scouted.
College Showcase is technically where a lot of college scouts are going to.
I think a D1 school only has 14 scholarships total that they can give out. So when they run out, a lot of times a kid will be told, we can't scholarship you.
Wait, so what's Wakanda?
No, these are okay. This is that was Wakanda.
Okay,
Purple Demon.
Purple Demon.
Okay, this is Purple Demon. This is April, right? This...
You know, like you're going to a college showcase that you could potentially be getting a scholarship from one of the coaches there. If you're not giving it your all, you could potentially like mess it up and like not get the recognition you wanted or you needed.
That's us! Come on, Alana!
Everybody's marked. Come on, we got people standing in the box by themselves. Let's go.
All right, everybody, listen. Got about 10 people out here watching you, okay? Don't waste it. All right, play the way you can play. All right.
You know people are watching you, but you have to like kind of like cancel it out and like just focus on the game.
Nayeli plans to attend Cal State Fullerton in the fall, where she'll play Division I soccer.
That does it for this edition of Nuestra Voz Today.
Gracias por su sintonía. Thank you for watching.
We leave you with the Grammy-winning and multi-Grammy nominated singer Ricardo Arjona of Guatemala.
Take a look at his sold-out concert at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, courtesy of LA Times en Español.